So what we're going to be where we left it off. I made some changes since what we recorded in the previous video. So what we did is just to show you the different things. Actually, we could do this the way we did it before, like some kind of method that returns. You give it as an argument a number, then it will give you the English representation of that number. We did it either in a method that returns a string, or we could have done it also with this array. We could have used this thing. So when the digit is 0, I'm going to return 0. So for the position 0, it's for the index 0, we return this 0. For index 1, return 1, and so on. And here for the tens, for the index 0, we return nothing because there's nothing. And but for the 1, we used this thing. So we can use this these two arrays where we use them here. So this becomes like a little bit more readable. So this is what we did, but I just replaced the call of the methods by the call. Instead of calling a method, I used like this. So we could also use this instead of using this thing. I could have used the tens. For example, this is the use of the array with the tens. And now whatever the number is, for example, if it's 3 now, this is going to be position 3. So in position 3, the index 3 for the tens would be, so this is 0, 1, 2, 3, so it's going to see 30. Yes?
About the array
in the tens?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it a special way to write the array in this way, in the class, or is it just...
Well, that's the same way. This is no special way to represent an array. This is what we used to do to represent an array, didn't we? We used to represent it this way.
I see the string.
Maybe just because yes, in the Java one we worked with array of numbers, but it doesn't hurt to work with array of anything here. So that's the main idea. So, and then we've seen now if we just try that with like a number. What else? Yes, I forgot something else. We added also the thousands, because for the thousands it's basically the same thing. Instead of displaying 100, we display 1,000. And now if it was 10,000, it will also work, I guess. But we need to try. But there's some numbers that are not going to be working. Like for example, this thing, like what we said yesterday. It's for 20. I don't have 20. I have 20 and 0. But I have also this other problem, as you mentioned. So 0,000, 0,120, 0. So it's a lot of extra things that I need to also deal with them with some kind of exceptions. Now the thing is, I think it's possible, but up to the 1,000 because there's no loop in there. But if it was in a loop, I could work up to 10,000, 20, 100. But the hundreds, I did not have any special thing to do. Just I need to add the 100 plus the 1,000 as well. So there's some kind of, so this is 2,100. What was the number again? 2,120. Well, of course the 0 is still following us, but these are some things that we need to take care of them. And also the obvious 15, for example. Now it says 10, 5, and plus the rest. So these are some of the parts that we might be dealing with. But I don't want to get into the programming part because this is Java 1. And now I'd like to focus on the other part, which is working with, now we have this method, payment details, and then now I would like to continue and create the other classes that redefine the payment details. So this redefined payment details is something that is, we've been doing it since Java 1, but we did not talk about it much. This is the overriding method, which is when we used to have these two strings and we generate them from Java. If you remember, let me generate from NetBeans. If I generate this, no, let's say toString that displays, no, not these ones, just the amount, for example, as an int. I generate that. So I always have this override. And this is something that has to do with the inheritance. So let's talk about that, inshallah. Okay. So first of all, let's go back here. So we designed the class payment that has this amount, and it was supposed to be double. We simplified that. Okay, this is another thing that we need to go back to, is that after finishing doing this into int and making it work, we need to make it with a double. And then with the double, the thing is that we need to do this kind of thing twice, because we need to find for the before the decimal separation, decimal dot, and then after that we have like a maximum of 2 digits. So it's much some kind of easier, something dot point something else. So if we can say, for example, 55 riyals and then 22 halalas. So we can do something similar to that, but there's some kind of repetition, because the thing that I'm going to do with that is that I need to do it with those numbers that are converted. But anyways, I'm not going to be going into that as well. This code can be made available. You'll find it online, so I just don't want to spend a lot of time. So what I'm doing here is that basically I am just now putting it back as double, because this was a requirement, and what I'm doing, I'm just converting it internally inside this payment details to just an int. I'm not dealing it with, I'm not generating the text for a double, I'm just converting it from a double and discarding the double value. Yes?
Yeah, so we should leave the data type of the variable int, like in line 18.
Yeah, if when we make it a double, if we'd like to process a double, this definitely has to change in some way. Actually, you need to, it may not. You need to split your numbers into two. The fractions in a different variable, because you need to detect them and process the fractions alone, plus and then the whole number on the other hand.
Like 10.0.
Now in this case, 10.5, for example, is going to be just discarding the 0.5. I'm just dealing with 10 in this code, but yeah, we could just work with another one. So just made this back to double. So everything now is double. Just to continue with the requirement that was meant here. Now next, I'd like to define a class called cash payment that is derived from payment. So this is what I'm going to do right now. So right click, new Java class, call it cash payment, and finish. Let me just, before clicking on that finish, this is something really important, and that I'm going to be assessing you on as well. If in an exam or a quiz I'm asking you to name a class a specific way, I'm expecting it to be exactly the same, with the capital letters exactly the same and the lowercase exactly the same. This is a common mistake that many of you do, and then they lose some marks just for nothing. Just pay attention to those exact same word. If this is exactly the one that I want, you give it the same name, exactly same name. And this is important, not because I don't want just to be like, I want to be picky and do as I say, like I'm the boss. Now this is really important, because when you work in a team, there's going to be someone, which probably is going to be you, inshallah, when you finish all these programming courses and the designing, and then you become some kind of a programmer, analyst programmer, you're going to be designing a lot of classes and giving it to different programmers. So you're the one designing the classes and you give their name. So you give 2-3 classes to this student, to this developer, 2-3 classes to another one, and then you spread your project into different people, and you assume that they're going to be designing the classes exactly with the same requirements. Exact same names of variables, exact same names of methods if they were mentioned, exact same names of classes, because these are meant to work together, so they have to be consistent. So you just, this is some kind of requirement that you need to get. This is a kind of a skill that you need to have. This is some kind of thing that you need to follow. So that's why I would like you to pay attention to those details. If I give you a name of a variable, just use that exact name. If I don't, you're free. Like for example here, they did not force you to use any name, but they force you just to be double. So you use any name you want, doesn't matter, but it has to be double. But here, I give you the name of the class, so you have to use this exact same name. So that's the main idea. So now let's go back to this cash payment. So now we created this cash payment, and then we want it to be derived from payment, which means I need to have extends payment. Now by doing so, I'm inheriting everything that is not private. And among these things, just if I get inside and hit control space, I'm going to see that this is the, oh, this is some kind of generate, because there's nothing here. This is the, I did not use this before. But I can see this payment detail that it tells me, do you want to override? And actually, what does this mean? If I click this, this is going to be overriding, overriding a method. It means only one thing. I'm going to create or define the exact same method in my class. You remember the story with toString? If I'd like to use the default toString that comes from objects, it will give me, it will display something. If you want to change the way the toString works, you just define your own in your class. That's what we used to do before. This is the overriding, which means I'm inheriting toString, but I don't like it. I'd like to change it. So I define my own. The only requirement to have this overriding is that you have to exactly define it the same way that it was defined before. By the same way, I mean, don't add, it should be the same name, same signature. So for example, if I do something like this, this is not overriding anymore. You see now it tells me, no, this is not overriding because the one from the superclass does not have an argument. So method does not override or implement a method from a supertype. So it's not doing that. So yes, you have a question.
It's not clear. You said the method of the overriding, it's a method have the same name and same signature
From the superclass.
from the name of the class or
Superclass. In the from a method in the superclass. Remember toString? toString.
yeah.
We've used it before. Now if I'd like to, let's say, have a toString, I can just generate one from here. Just toString. Now this is coming from my, now I'm defining it, but it's the Java that means as this at override, I mean, to make sure that it shows you that this is overriding. There's exactly this one method with the same name in your superclass, but there is no, and if I go to the superclass of payment, there's no toString. But by superclass, it's by one of the ancestors. So it can be either the parent or the immediate one, or one of those in the list up to the object. And now actually this goes up to the object, because if I go into the object, just see, I click on it so I can see the class. Now if you look here, these are the list of things. So among them is the toString. So if I click on this toString, you see this is the toString, the default one that comes. And you see this, there's this at that comes from something. This is the class name, and then at, and then there's some kind of number of some kind. So this is what the toString that we inherit and then we always use. If we don't change it, we're going to see this one. But if I don't like it, and this is the main idea about overriding, you inherit something that you don't like, you want to change it, or you would like to adapt it to your special case. So in our case, we don't want to see this class name at and then a number. We'd like to see something else. Then we redefine this same method that is available in one of our ancestors, but we redefine it in our class, and we give it the processing that we want it to have. And that's what is overriding. So there's now overriding and overloading. These are all involved methods defined in different places. However, overloading is a method that is redefined with different signature in the same class. Overriding is the same method, same signature from a superclass. Just remember, overriding toString, overloading system.out.println. Because in the system.out.println, you have println a number, println a text. Let me just go back to one of those and hit the system.out.println. Okay, and then just to show you what I mean with that. You see this println, I have println that takes a string, println that takes an array of numbers, so println that takes a double. All of these are working because of this overloading. So overloading, many methods with the same name, different signatures, and the same class. But with overriding, many methods with the same signature, with the same name, same signature, but from different classes, but not any different classes. They have to be related with inheritance. So that's the idea. Okay? Yes. You want it again?
overriding same
Overriding, same method
same
with
method, same class.
No.
Same signature.
same signature, same method name. So different methods with the same name,
Same name.
same signature, but in different class related with inheritance.
And overloading. It's
Overloading,
same
many methods with the same name.
Same name too.
Of course, overloading. System.out print line. This is same name. We always use a print line, but then if I give print line a number, an int or a double, it will always work because we have the same name,
Different signature.
different signature.
Same class.
It's in the same class.
But it inherits from the object. That's
Yes, this is coming from the object, but if we inherit something, we inherit it not only from the immediate superclass, we inherit it from up to the object. So that's why this toString, we are still inheriting it, even though we did not have it from payment. Let's say from payment here, I did not have. If you look here, this is the list of what is available in payment. There's no toString, so I'm inheriting the one that is coming from the superclass. If I had just, let's say, let me insert a toString, for example. If I had a toString that just displays, for example, the amount. Now what happens now, this cash payment that is inheriting from, now let me remove this. Now if I create this crash payment, let me remove this as well. Now this crash payment has nothing. I'm inheriting now the toString. Let me just generate a constructor just to show something. If I use now the toString, the toString from object is not available anymore. Why? Because my immediate superclass have changed it in the payment. So now if I use this toString here, I'm going to use the toString that comes from payment, because it was overridden, it was overchanged. If it changed from my immediate superclass, so I cannot access the one from the object. Yes.
if I do some changing on the toString in payment, it's gonna be the same here.
Now I did not get the. If you would like to make a change, you cannot make a change on a class, on your superclass from a class. It's not. You cannot change the class.
Now, like we do toString and a payment, then we do some changes like in details.
Now what you would like to do is to override this toString. If you'd like to change something that you inherit, you override it. That's the rule. So I don't like the toString from the payment. I would like to have my own. Well, I have to just come up with my own toString. Now doing so, I'm changing what I'm inheriting. I don't like what I'm inheriting, so I change the way they work by redefining them inside my own class, and that's overriding. Yes.
So typing the toString like your way now.
Yes.
It's different from generating like in the superclass, the data.
The one that you mean generating from NetBeans?
Yeah.
No, that's the same thing. It just NetBeans makes your life easy, but because you don't have to type a lot of things.
Before you said the payment class, like he blocks you from inheriting from the superior class.
Well, this is still the case, because now if for example, if I'd like to see what I'm inheriting, I just hit Control Space. Now you can see this is coming from object. No, this is giving you back an object. If I say this is coming from object here. Now this is coming from equals object. These are all coming from object. This is coming from payment because I have it, and this is also coming from payment. This is from my own. Now I have my own toString, so I'm not inheriting the one from payment. I'm not inheriting from the object. So if you change something that you inherit, then that's what's the purpose of the whole thing, is that you don't like what you inherit, you would like to change the way it works. So, but when you don't have access to this one, for example, when I'm inheriting, I'm defining my own, I cannot go to the object because it's too far away. It's not my immediate superclass. But if I would like to access the toString from the payment, I can. That's something nice. Lucky. You know this super, you remember the super? Super dot give me access to the toString that is coming from the payment. So if I would like to still access it, I can. So I have it's a flexibility. If you like what you inherit, you can use it if you want to, but you also can redefine it, and even if you redefine it, you can still use it if you like to. But can I use the one from the object? No, the one from the object is changed by payment, so I cannot change it, and payment is my superclass. So there's no like super.super. ToString. This is still the payment, and it's not possible. So that's the overriding. We have been using it with ToString and equals. We've been using some of it, but now we've been using it with ToString for some time now. But we'd like to learn how to use it in more informed way now. And okay, so now what we'd like to do is create this cash payment that will maybe just mention that if I'm getting something, let me go back to this. I don't want to have this thing, because now we're supposed to do this from here, this payment details. Now this thing from now, I just would like to override a method. You can also do it from here. You can set which one you'd like to override. I just would like to override this one, and you see you can also override some method that you're inheriting from your superclass, your superclass. Yes.
What's the kind, the key sum?
What do you mean?
There are a key sum.
The key?
Yeah.
Yeah, the key is, you remember there's public and private,
Yeah.
but there's some other things. This means protected. It's another type of
Cannot change.
access modifier. No, because this is an object, and the guys who developed the class object, these are the ones who decided that this should be protected. It has a meaning. We're going to be talking about it. It is related to inheritance as well. But let's not just complicate things now. We'll talk about it later, inshallah. So what I'd like to do now is just to generate the payment details. I mean, to override the payment details, which basically just give me the exact same signature again from the one this from my superclass, and with this @override. This @override has no main purpose. If you remove it, that's not a problem. The only thing that it actually mainly does, it just reminds you that you're doing something. You're changing a behavior from a method that you're inheriting. That's what it just flashes. It tells you that, look, this is not like any method that you just define. This is a method that you're actually redefining because you're inheriting it and then you're changing it. So that's what this means. And NetBeans here show this O in green, as opposed to the others. You see, if you look at payment, there's no this is another O, because it says this was overriding. This method is changed in a subclass, but for the rest, see, there's nothing here. There's some kind of just a code that shows you that, oh look, this method here, oh, this method was changed by one of my subclasses. That's what it shows. And so if it's gray, that's what it means, and you can highlight it so you can see this. And if it's green, it just says this overrides a method from the payment. So week 1 exercise 2, this is the package, this one, and then dot the payment, the class. So it shows you actually which one you're overriding. So for example, if I override the ToString, just as of fun, let me just override the ToString I'm generating. Now you see it's going to tell you that you're overriding a method from object, because I removed the one that was here. So I don't have any ToString here. So you see I just removed it, which means now if I'm having a ToString in the cash payment, I'm overriding one that is not from my immediate superclass but from the object. So that's the main idea about this overriding. If you don't like something that you're inheriting, you can change it. That's the idea. Now, if you change it, you can still have access to the one that you're changing, because you know what I would like to do? I'd like to just do exactly the same thing, plus I just would like to display paid in cash. Well, it's not really something really complicated, but what I did basically is that if I have a cash payment and I would like to see the payment details, it just display the same, do the same processing that was happening in the payment, plus it just adds another thing. It displays it. This is a cash payment, or this is a cash payment. Yes.
Why you didn't have it immediately?
Why did I do what?
Add it immediately without doing override.
What do you mean added directly? I don't understand the added directly.
You said the cash payment
Mhm.
will do all the payment details will do all process.
This one.
Yeah, and then print this is the cash payment.
Exactly.
Why it's not just put it in the payment
Because
without override?
because okay, now the idea is that your question, why not just not put here like this is a cash payment, because payment is not always a cash payment. This class payment is going to be used to be a superclass of cash payment, but also a superclass of credit card payment. So if you put it in payment, even a credit card payment will show cash. So that's not what I want. That's the idea. We want to use something common to all these classes. We put it in that payment,
The override
and the others are going to be
to customize it.
exactly. Yes.
If I would print the payment details in payment, will it show the payment details in payment alone without the payment details in?
Of course, yes. Because if you create an instance of payment, and then you open you call this payment details, it's just going to go with the one that you just declared. For example, if I'm here in the main and I make a payment details, this is the payment details from payment. Yes. But now if I'd like to use the one from the cash, and I'm going to use the one from the cash payment, yes. So I can have like cash payment, which is CP equal new cash payment, and of
Changing the override method in the class will protect the set of.
no, it doesn't, because the change is only happening in the class, in the local in the derived class. So the derived class, when you do some kind of overriding, does not cancel something from the other class. It just change it for your own inside your own class. So now if I do CP dot, but I need to put an amount, so I need to use the set amount and put a number like this, say 55. Now if I just use these payment details, this is going to show me exactly the same thing, but this is a cash payment. So that's the main idea.
Can we remove something when we do a super?
Remove something?
Yeah.
No, you cannot. For example, you don't like the way this is the programmed, and then you would like to change it. No, you cannot change a method from your superclass. If you don't like it, then you have to change everything. For example, I don't like the way I see this 0, 1000, 0, whatever. So I need just to
Change it from payment and to
yeah, just take this for example, and then use this in my own class, and then I'm not going to be using the one that I'm inheriting at all, and I need to put my own code. So that's how it works. You cannot change for what you inherit from a superclass, but you can change it in your own class, not in the other class. So that's the main idea about this overriding, is that you can change this. Now what I'd like to also insert some constructor that just initializes the one like this, because if you give me nothing, I'm just going to use nothing. But if you give me an amount, I'm just going to call the constructor for my superclass with that same amount. This gives me the flexibility of not doing just this. For example, now this is not available. Do you know why I'm having this error message? Because when I define the constructor, the default one is not available anymore. If I want it, if I want to keep it working, I just need to
Create another one.
yes, create another one just like this, with even if another one that is empty, that has nothing, just like this, but I still have to do it. Now if I do it, I don't have the problem anymore, but if I don't, I have a problem, because it's not given this thing is not given to me by default if I define my one constructor in my classes. So now the advantage of having that one is that instead of doing the set amount, I can just do this from here, and now it's much easier for me just to in one line define that. So this is coming from the payment, and this other one is coming from the cash payment. All right, now the last thing is to do the same thing again with the credit card. Let's see if we didn't forget anything, and include appropriate constructors. That's what we did. Define a class called credit card payment, and that is derived also from payment. This class should contain instance variables for the name on the card, the expiration date, and credit card number. Include appropriate constructors. And finally, we define the payment details method to include all credit card information in the printout. So basically, in the other one, in the cash payment, you know what I'm going to do? There's something also nice that you can do, because this is also extending the credit card payment, is extending this payment. I can just copy. I pressed Control C. No, Control C. No, I'll just. What is happening? Control C, and then I right click here and Control V basically, or you can just do it with the mouse. Right, copy, and right click and paste, or Control C. Or refactor copy, basically. That's what I would like to do. I would like to change the name. Instead of cash payment, it should be credit card payment. Now the good thing about this is that it's going to change the name of the class, the name of, and the name also in the constructors, which is what I want, and just refactor. And here is my new class, credit card payment, with the same constructors. This is what I want basically, plus this thing that I need to change now. Instead of this is a cash payment, this is, or I might say, paid with the credit card, with the credit card, with the following credit card. So what's the following credit card? Because I need to also, this thing has to have which one? The name, expiration date, and credit card number. So I just need to have some extra variables. So string name, another string maybe just to make it easy, or else I can use the date. So the date is something, I don't want to spend time talking about it. So the date, expiration date, so expiration date, and then the last one is the credit card number. And I'm putting it as a string because I'd like to put some kind of spaces or dashes, or so I'm going to call it number. So now what I'd like to do is this, usually do the same thing again. I'm going to insert. Notice that I select actually where I want to generate the order. So these getters and setters, let me put them after this, so they're going to be at the end. I'm going to create these getters and setters for those. Or do I? Well, let's just for fun. Let's just change them in, and what's important is to encapsulate the fields, because I'd like these to be private, and it generates this get, set, etc. for everything. Now maybe I need to change also my this constructor. Let me just maybe I would like to use the one that is going to be used by NetBeans. When I'm going to be using this, I'm going to initialize this amount and all these from here, which means this new constructor is going to take the name, the expiration date, the number, and the amount, because this is what I would like to initialize. Now doing this, now I don't have anymore this constructor that takes only one, which means I'm going to be having a problem here. This is cash payment. Oh. Now if I use it, so credit card payment. Now this is not going to be working just because I don't have only one. I need just to specify a lot of different things. So let's say this is the name. It says the expiration date. I can just put something like 2019-12, and then the last thing is the credit card number. So something like this, or whatever. Let's make it more close to the reality, something like this. Now if I just display this, I'm just going to add this amount was paid with the following credit card, but I did not. Well, I can use the exact, I can use something just because I'm lazy. I don't want to type a lot of things, but I could have type, for example, here system.out.println the name, or maybe just the card number, with then the name. Let me just put this like just make it a little bit. So I put the following credit card number, and then here I display the name, from name, and then expiration date. Let's put everything in one place, and then expiration date, for example, like, and then
Same by for the string.
yes, I can use the two string. I just would like to show you that actually I'm doing this inside the payment details, but I can also do that from a two string if I want to. So now this is just showing me that this is the amount coming from what is called from payment details, and then paid with the following credit card. This is what's happening from inside the credit card. Yes.
Can I use a class credit card to type the number the value of the price or something?
What do you mean to type the value of the price?
Go to the
If I go to the main,
yeah, and instead of have payment P new payment 15,
yes,
I need to have
that's this number that you did not pay attention to. I have put it already here. Yeah. So when I designed the class, you see the constructor. Sorry, these are the things that are going to be initialized here, but this is the one that is going to be sent to the superclass. So the amount I'm also taking it from there. Yes.
By default, it's super month by name. What's the
What do you mean by default? It is inherited.
I mean the line 19.
This one.
Super month, yeah.
Yes. No, I added it because I wanted to also ask the user to give me the amount when they call this constructor to give us the name of the card, the expiration, etc., plus the amount. And this amount I cannot store it locally because I don't have a variable for it here. So I send it to the superclass to save it, to store it. So that's why I'm using this super amount, which basically it's using this constructor, the one that takes an amount, and it's just going to store it inside this variable.
if we don't have at any argument.
Yeah.
Have null, no.
If we don't have this, you mean?
No, at the main.
In the main?
Yeah, if we don't have any specific details.
For all of it, or just for the amount?
For just all of it instead of the amount. Just leave the amount.
You just would like to only keep this. Well, if you'd like to have this first, you need to have a constructor that handles that. So I don't have a constructor that takes only one. What I can generate one, no problems. So I'm just going to say, okay, this is what I'd like to initialize, which means I need an amount, and the rest I don't want to generate them. So this is what it's going to be. But then maybe I can just say in the name I can initialize them in a way I want it, maybe empty or nothing or nil or something, whatever. It's up to you to decide how you would like to initialize the rest, or just leave them as null. It's up to you. So
So if we don't have anything, it will
null,
and then 0.
or for example, if I have if I call this one, yes, everything's going to be null and 0. Yes, because the default initial value for class data type is null, and the default value for primitive data type, which is the double, is 0. So if, for example, if I call this like that, what I'm going to see is payment of 000 paid with the following credit card null. But if I call the one, for example, with only the number, let's say this one, and then here I'm just going to put some nil, for example, and because I'm lazy again, I'm just going to do this. So all of them have the same value. This is what it means. This nil is going to be in all of these. So if I run this now, nil. Yes.
Why you didn't add the double equal sign?
The double equal sign to do what? The double equal sign is for asking a question. I'm not asking a question. I'm just saying take this, put it there. This is basically just take this, put it here, and put it here, and put it here. It's just another shortcut. But if you don't like it, if it's confusing, you can just do this and do this, and then take these things and make a copy here and here, and then you get it. So that's, instead of doing this, I just put it in one line. So just to make a change expression, just do something like this, and just to see that these are the ones that are initialized, whatever. And that's the end of this story. Now create a main method that creates at least 2 cash payments and 2 credit card payment objects with different values and calls of these. Where we did some, we can just do it again with another cash payment. We did many actually, but we can just use one that's just with this one, and the other one that we just had before, that with the cash payment, that cash payment 2, credit card payment.
So the last question is asking to make so many constructors.
Yeah, to call them. No, not necessarily. Just create objects. I can use exactly the same again, the same constructor, just with one constructor. I can just, for example, do something like this. Yeah, it's just change the number and something like that. So this is CP2, CP1, and I can do the same myself with the cash payment and whatever. I can maybe just put some different values. So CP2.setName, because I did not initialize it there or whatever, for whatever reason. Set name is Muhammad, and I don't know the rest. Set number. Okay, now just to have 2 different things. I think we did some before. I just would like to show you. So I need to go the same thing with the cash payment, so you can just test it. That's what it means. I mean, in this case.
I want to make a condition like the credit card number should at least have.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, so it's going to be either in the setter but also in the constructor as well, because if we have a constructor that also accepts the credit card number, so you have to put, instead of doing always this, you have to put some kind of condition. If the number is respecting a condition, then do this or that. Yeah.
Also in the setter.
Also in the setter. And it's basically it's better than to put somewhere in a method, make it private, and then you use in different places as we used to do it before. Any questions? Okay, so it's your turn now. Just try to